And we are live.
All right,
And
finally made it in.
I don't know about you, but you can't say no to some country music.
I'm old-fashioned
Dust
country.
on the highway,
Yes, ma'am.
voices in the wind. People still talking about where we have been. Courthouse lights burn, old questions remain. Who spoke for the people? Who carried the strain? Years of hard meetings, taxes on the mind. Families
And
kept.
thank you everybody for being here because I see somebody here watching us. And welcome back to Correo County Scoop. I do other things here in this channel, but right now I'm focusing on our city, Marimer Cruz.
Mhm.
And today we're continuing our conversations with the people who want to represent our community. My guest today is James Ortiz, candidate for Copper's Cove ISD Board of Trustees, Place 5. The
Mhm.
school board makes the decisions that affect our students, teachers, parents, employees, and of course, every taxpayer funding the district. So these elections matter, and voters deserve an opportunity to hear directly from the candidates. And by the way, this isn't an endorsement. Just want to be sure I'm just interviewing here. Just a person, a citizen like you. So my goal is simple: ask questions and let the candidate answer, and you guys decide. So welcome, James.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I mean, and there's so many things going on in the city. I don't
There
know if you were,
is.
I don't know if you were here when we survived the water outage of 2026. You know, before it
Yes,
was
ma'am.
we survived Snowvid 2020. You know what I mean?
I remember that very well.
Oh my God! But you were you here when the whole mess happened with the water?
Yes, we were.
Now
Luckily, we didn't
tell
lose too
people
much.
how that affected the school because again, when
Mhm.
something happens, sometimes it's not just one thing; it affects, right? How is CCISD affected by that outage?
Well, I mean, we don't have water in the schools. I mean, they can't feed the kids in the cafeterias. I mean, water's important, for them to clean up, wash dishes. Custodians need the water. Of course, there's no drinking water. So when you don't have that, I mean, you can't really run a school. So that's very important.
So who is James Ortiz when you're not campaigning for school board?
Who is James Ortiz? Let me see, where do I start? I started living here in 1973. I was just a little kid. My father moved here after his duty station in Alaska. My mom and dad and I just set up roots here and been here ever since. I went to school here up until about seventh, eighth grade. I was really struggling a lot. Public school was not working for me. My parents wanted me to have the best education possible, so they sent me to a private school in San Antonio, which was a boarding school. Grew up really quick, didn't have mom and dad telling me what to do, wash your clothes, study, do all that other stuff. So I had to grow up really quick, but I made a lot of good friends over the years. Still keep in touch with them. Graduated from there, came back, did my first 2 years at CTC, and then transferred to Sam Houston State University where I got my education degree. And then my first job assignment was in Fairview Elementary. We got a phone call, and I was looking at other places trying to get a job, and it was just hard where I was at Huntsville ISD. They just didn't have any openings, and I was even applying for educational programs in the TDC programs around Huntsville. So finally got a call from Fairview Elementary saying, "Hey, we want to start up this program called Content Mastery." Had no clue what it was. So I had to start a program from scratch and went around, looked at other
Wow.
program, went around,
What
looked
year
at some
was that?
other.
What year was that that you started this program?
That was in I say I graduated in '94. I believe I started just after the beginning of the school year in 1995.
Wow. So you had to
And
do
fresh
that
out of
from
college,
scratch.
I'm sorry.
From scratch. You have to do that the content
Yeah, well,
mastery.
luckily they already had the program running in the school district, so I got to visit some teachers' classrooms to see how the content master classroom was run. Got some really good ideas, had some really good mentors the first couple years. After 4 years, though, working at the elementary level, I learned real quick that wasn't my niche. My passion was English and teaching reading and writing, and so I got a position over at SC Lee for my first junior high position, and worked there for about I want to say about 14, 15 years,
Mhm.
and then transferred to Copperscove Junior High. So I worked in total about 20 years at the junior high level. And that was my jam. I love that age group. The kids you can relate real well to them. They get your jokes sometimes, or they don't like your jokes. Um, but taught there, and then my last 5 years, I worked at Copper Cove High as an English teacher for ninth grade, 11th grade, and then taught creative writing as well.
Who's your favorite? Since you're into English, you talk English. Who's your favorite author?
Um, I have a lot of favorite authors.
Give me your
One of my
top
favorite
three.
one,
Give me the top three.
top three. Let me think. My very first, I guess, not necessarily an author, but I was really into poetry when I was in college, and I was writing poetry left and right, just trying to find my style, find my niche where I wanted to write. It started out as Shakespeare, but then I got tired of Shakespeare, and then I went into some of the more poets like John Keats, Percy Shelley. Those are my favorites. As far as authors, S.E. Hinton was one of my favorites. There's a couple, not obscure authors, but some that write for the fantasy and science fiction genre. I really loved R.A. Salvatore. He's an amazing writer. Another writer I really love is, oh goodness, what was his name? Forgot his name. Oh, he writes the horror novels.
Something a little bit more modern. Something.
Oh, modern.
In the last 10 years. In the last 10 years.
Last 10 years. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember a book that I just read because I've been reading a lot of nonfiction stuff lately, and I haven't had a chance to really get into some fictional stuff. I can't think of his name. My mind just went totally blank. But he's done some horror movies based off of his books. Can't think of his name. My mind just went blank.
Stephen King?
Stephen King, thank you. Sorry, I've been on the go this morning.
That's one, and Anne Rice. I like Stephen King and Anne Rice.
Oh yes, Anne Rice. Oh, The Vampire Lestat was my favorite book out of her books. The Vampire Lestat was my favorite.
Oh my gosh!
Really,
yes.
Yeah, she's an amazing writer.
I'm actually checking. I'm looking at one that's called Talamasca.
Uh-huh.
And it's connected to vampires, but it's like I don't, Anyway, just check that one. It's Talamasca and Anne Rice. So I have a question.
Okay.
Why place 5 and why now? Is it like the CCISD board of trustees, kind of like when you run for a place in the council where you have to be in a region to run for that place, or not?
No, it's actually based off of. I mean, if you're in the community, you could run for any place that's up for election. Place 5, it was I'm trying to think. I think it was Mrs. Copeland, I think, who was there in that position, but she had to step down. So right now there's a temporary person in place, so they're running an election. So I thought, well, what the heck? I'll try out for that, see how I do. I served as a teacher for 29 years in Copper Cove ISD. I've been a substitute last year, a substitute this year. I wanted to do something different and try to represent the community in a different way.
Can you tell people what exactly the board trustee does? Because I bet that they're like, what is that?
Say it one more time.
Tell people, explain in layman's terms, what does the board of trustees from the CCISD does?
Okay.
What's your job if you get the job, right?
In layman's terms, basically the board to me is there to hold the district accountable for all its operations, to make sure things are properly funded. That there's water, electricity, you pay your staff. That's the general part of the job of the board of trustees. It's also, I think to keep things in check, the community, to keep the school district in check as far as financial is concerned, and any other things that they have to vote on. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what made you say, I need to get involved instead of just complaining about what you saw?
I think it's the perspective that I have as a teacher of 29 years, solely here in Copper Cove. Like I said, I grew up here, worked my entire career here. I think I have that perspective from the staff point of view, where I've seen good decisions, bad decisions happen over the years. And I want to be that bridge that connects the community and the staff to the school district office.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, brother. So, what do you think CCISD is doing really well right now?
Well, I think the plans going forward with the bond, I think are going to go well. I know there's a lot of campuses across the district that really needed that bond as far as renovations, repairs, safety issues to make sure the schools are safe for our kids. I think that's something that was done really well last year, better than the first time we did the bond. I think the information got out there much better for the community to see what was going to happen. And I think also having those three options for people to vote on was a good idea, to see what people can get for our schools.
So what will you tell people that say, well, we have a surplus, the CCISD has a surplus, why the bond?
I see. I don't know much yet about the surplus. I just started researching a lot of the financial aspects of it. I'm working with another school board member, John Goras. He's all about the numbers, and he knows things backwards and forwards about it. So he's been educating me a little bit. As far as the surplus, I would say the surplus definitely needs to be there to support the kids in the way of supporting teachers, making sure they have the resources, the staff that are needed to give those kids who have special needs, to make sure that there's enough staff there for those children.
What would you tell to citizens that keep complaining about the football field and maybe how that takes away from real education? And I'm not saying, I'm a football fan and all this stuff, and I love the dogs and, woo woo, but, what do you tell those people?
So I'm not completely sure on this, and I have to research this part, but I want to say that I think some of the funding or most of the funding comes from the state as far as how the football field is run. Now, as far as the excess money, I don't know as far as until I get into office and see if, where is that money going? Do we really need, a new football field? Is it falling apart? Is it tearing up? Then I understand that. I get it. We don't want our kids to be running on a field that's somebody's going to trip on, break an ankle or a leg.
Yeah, our football field is amazing. We don't need it.
It is. It's beautiful. I grew up here.
No,
I grew up here.
We had some renovations a few years back. So
right.
Or have you heard something around the grapevine that I don't know?
No, I haven't. I haven't. Yeah, the only thing I could say is that I grew up here long ago when it was still grass, and even then the public had access to it. Me and my buddies in the neighborhood, we just lived 2 streets over from the stadium. We used to go play football on the field on the weekends. And I miss that. I miss the public having access to that, at least walking the track and doing stuff, people getting out and exercising.
I am glad that you're mentioning that because, again, everything that the city owns is is bought and paid by whom?
Right, the taxpayers.
Right? So we should have access to the football field as long as we're not interrupting their trainings or the soccer field or whatever. But I'm glad that you said that and went back when you were growing up here, how things were different.
Yeah.
Actually, why don't we comment? Can you comment? Because you've been here for how long? Can you comment how this has changed? Is it for the better or worse? Specifically with the school, because again, since you're running the board of trustees, it's important to focus.
As far as like how things have changed overall in the district. I know for me, and maybe some of the people, I guess growing up here, the feeling I get sometimes is that the district seems so disconnected from the community. And that's not just my opinion. I've just been trying to watch. I try to stay away from. I can tell you that
because I've been here 25 years and my kids used to be in school. Then I ended up homeschooling. So yes, I agree with you. In that sense
and I try to stay off of the gossip and everything, and not listen to it, but I try to weed that out and see how are people feeling really. If there's a disconnect, if people feel, that they're not connected or they don't feel welcome or they don't have access to the football field, that could be something where you could pay somebody a little stipend to monitor the field on the weekend, let people walk the track. To monitor it, to make sure it's taken care of, make sure it's not vandalized. It's closed most of the year, but yet it sits there. And I miss that. There used to be a more sense of community. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's a resource. It's a resource that we have at it's usually focus is on the fall, right? And so, like you said, it's already there. Might as well just let people use it. By the way, somebody send you a message. Can you respond to them on what they said there? You see it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Where do I look for that?
You see it down there? See that?
Oh, the little box. I see it. Yes, ma'am.
My grandson there.
Oh, okay. My grandson was so excited to see you running for school board. He says you're a good, oh, and has been campaigning for you. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You see, he's voter
Thank
age
you.
now, and he's voting for you. So you already have somebody that is voting for you.
I appreciate
And
that.
so I have a question: is anybody else running for the same place, or you're the only person running for that space?
I saw last week somebody had said I don't know her name. I haven't never met her. I don't know anything about her, but I know she's running also for place 5.
Is that Mrs. Is it Faison? Or
Oh no,
Cameron or something?
she's running for place 7, I think. That's John Gallen's position because John Gallen's stepping down.
Oh, okay. But who said that he's running in the same as a place than you? What was the name?
I don't know her name. I don't
It's,
remember it. I saw it one time or somebody told me one time and I don't
yeah,
remember.
and JC Stubbs. I know that's another
Oh,
person
he's
that
running
runs.
for yeah, he's running for place 6, which I believe is John
Because
Gore's
I'm
or Jeff
interviewing him
Gore's. Jeff
also.
Gore's.
I'm interviewing him. I think either at the end of the week or next week. So I'm
Mhm.
again. I'm trying to anybody that's running. I'm trying to just get
Right.
them here
Yeah.
and get them to talk, and so people can know who you are.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm glad that you mentioned it. A lot of people feel disconnected from the community, and this is
Mhm.
across. This is not only the school board. This is
Right.
across the whole city.
Yes, ma'am. Hmm.
So it's good that you are aware of that. So whenever if you get in there, that you are accessible, because it seems like a lot of people get into office and then they just forget who voted for them and then just no
Right.
access. Anyway, let's change a little bit more into
Yes, ma'am.
student academics. What should be the number one job of a school district?
Um, I've heard the phrase being thrown around a lot, putting kids first. And with that phrase comes this question, how do you define that? What does that look like? It's something that even as a teacher, when we start planning for our lessons, we ask, okay, well, what am I doing this for? What's my end goal? So to me, when you put kids first, you have to give them not only the resources, but the staff to teach them, to support them, to guide them, to instruct them. And to me, putting kids first starts with supporting your staff, giving them the resources they need, giving them the time that they need. Um, Not only I found myself over the last few years of my career, but other teachers I've known, um, it's a lot of teachers kind of say the same thing, that there is not a very good work-life balance in Copper Cove ISD. That especially now that I've heard there's some uh, positions that weren't renewed for special education. To me, those are the most important positions that need to be filled.
Yes.
And I know it's not state law that they are only allowed to have, a certain number. There's not a cap really for the classroom, but the best practices is to make sure that those classrooms are smaller in number. But them not renewing those special ed positions, special ed teachers, it's packed a lot of classes. There's a few that I know, some teachers I know personally. They're like, I got 25, 28 kids, James. It's like, how am I supposed to manage these kids with all these different needs? And we know our special ed kids, if they don't have psychological needs, they have academic needs, the learning disability. I mean, there's a whole, slew of things that these kids have needs for. And I think packing them in like sardines is not the best practices for our kids.
No, I
Um,
totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
yeah.
And anyway,
So,
before the number of kids in a room was smaller, and it seems like, but when you're dealing with a specific special needs kids,
right.
you
Mhm.
can't have too many of them in one place.
Right.
That's
It's hard to
actually
manage. It is. Mhm.
it is hard to manage as
Mhm.
a teacher.
Yep.
Your everybody else, and then you deal with that specific area.
Mhm.
So I have a question: how should the board measure whether students are actually succeeding?
Um, I mean, there's all different kinds of measurements we could talk about. Teachers have immediate measurements they could use within the classroom during their lesson. They also have this program in CCISD, which I know a lot of school districts use, called MAP, which actually my last several years in the district was really good. I liked the data that it gave back to me about how my kids were doing in reading, what skills they were weakest at. I think having those in there are important. Standardized testing for the state, that's a whole different animal that we could talk about later, or we can talk about now. But I think measuring those progress to see if a child's skills in reading have improved or math is a good gauge to see where they are, especially reading. That's so important because then it
Yeah,
leads to all the other subjects.
let's actually do a little bit on that. So
Yes, ma'am.
you don't know anything about me, but my kids were in school, in public school,
Uh-huh.
and they were special needs, they had IEPs and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But I didn't feel like the school was actually helping them enough, so I ended up homeschooling my kids.
Right.
So when we did the testing, I didn't coach the kids on this is what the test has.
Hmm.
So can you comment on that? Because it seems like they put so much time telling the kids this is the test. And how
Yeah.
do you really gauge what the kids know if you're like
Hmm.
telling them this is what's gonna happen?
Right.
So I was
Um,
like, I'm sending them here to take the
right.
test, and that's it. That's how
Hmm.
I did it. So I know
I
really
mean,
what they needed.
I think as far as the standardized test, STAR, as far as that's concerned, I think the community and the state, citizens throughout the state need to contact their representatives. If you want something to change, you've got to talk to them first. There's very little that we could do as teachers or as a school district to really change that because it's law. We got to give them the test. But I know there's been a lot of changes and talk about using something different than the STAR test. I know some people have talked about using that MAP test as kind of a gauge, as like showing are these kids progressing? Um, are they making the skills that they need to make? Um,
Question: Are
as
you
far
aware of the top? We used to be like top 20 in the world in our school
Mhm.
system. We're not even. We keep going down, 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 and we're one of the countries that
Mhm.
spend most money in education.
Right.
Do you know about the top five? And usually, I think it's Sweden. They don't
Norway, I
even
thought was
test
up there too.
Norway or Sweden. One of those. They
Yeah,
don't
one of
even test the
those.
kids. They don't test the kids until they're
Mhm.
15 or 16.
Right.
I know you have to teach, you have to do the STAR test because it's mandatory, but
Right.
is it mandatory for you guys to tell the kids this is what's going to happen? This is what we're going to be, like basically, hey, if you're going to do arithmetic or whatever it is that they're doing, we're going to be
Mhm.
basically focusing on that so you can pass the test. Is
Right.
that part of the rule of the
Oh,
state?
I see what you're saying. So you're talking about like teaching to the test. Um, a lot of times throughout the years that I taught, when it came to, because I was around when it was tax, toss, and then star, so it's changed a lot over the years. Um, a lot of the things that I taught the kids was test taking tips. And I tried to get through that as quickly as possible because I wanted to actually teach the skills that are involved. But I think we've become so test oriented that we wasted a lot of time and not, we collect all this data, but then one of the issues that I had as a teacher and even still see is that the teachers don't have time to take that data, analyze it more, and then do new lessons to reteach those kids that are still falling behind in certain skills. I don't think there's enough time allowed for that because it's constantly, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Oh, and then move on, even if they don't catch up. I'm like, well, what good does that do our kids? And I've seen that as a culture change from the last 20 years that I taught. This shifts over. And I think because we're so worried about the state and its requirements and our grade to the state that we pulled away from that. We're more focused on the test. One of the things that I did a long time ago, I took a class to do a study abroad, not a study abroad, but I studied educational systems that were around the world. And one of the things that came up a lot was teachers not having enough time to do the reteach, to redo those skills. And I think in the American system, one of the weaknesses we have is we take textbooks that are this thick, try to cram it down the kids' throats without getting them to master it before moving them on. And I'm not saying we have to keep kids back by all means. I mean, that's a very rare case that has to be done by case basis. But we try to cram so much information down these kids' throat, they never really master these skills. Now, every country has its own issues, but in Japan, their little textbooks are about this small, and they master a skill in there and then when the kid's ready, they'll move them on to the next part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can learn a lot from, but this is a societal thing. This is something that's going to have to change across our nation about how we teach our kids. How much do we shove down their minds, to try to get them to pass a test? That's the most stressful thing for those kids.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the kids only are in school for like 180 days, right?
Yes, ma'am. Around that time.
When I was homeschooling, I homeschool all year. The only time that the kids have free was basically the holidays, certain holidays, Christmas and Easter. But the
Right.
rest of the year, we were doing school, and so maybe that's another thing. It's just like, but again, if we keep on with the testing is the other thing. Somebody actually, the same person said this about the special needs comment that you did.
Oh, I see it now. It just popped up. Volunteer in Greek special needs classroom. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then also this on the football part.
Oh, the football field. Sorry, my bifocals are kind of old.
You prefer that I read it? It said access
Oh,
to
no, I got it. I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
Yeah. The abuse and vandalism, if you have somebody there watching, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's up to us, all of us in Co, because we are the taxpayers to take care of
Oh, yeah. Everybody look out for each other. Look out for everything that the city owns.
And the other thing, let me see, the other thing that they said is this, and maybe you can answer this question.
How do you feel about CIS being stopped? It is heartbreaking. I saw that. When I saw that, I was like, I think the first thing I thought about were the kids I had that used CIS, that benefited them, whether they needed food or supplies or clothes or whatever. That was a nice program to have in our school system. And I was really sad to see it go.
So
that definitely would have been something I would have voted.
I'm not sure. Can you explain to me what is CIS? Because I have been so far removed from the school system. Because
Right.
my kids are 20 years that
Yeah,
I don't
yes.
know what it is.
Well, Community Schools is a program that was funded to give certain kids in need, like I said, food, clothes, supplies, or even sometimes, I had a kid that was one of the last few years that I worked at the high school. It was like, Mr. O, once I finish my work, can I go to CIS and get a snack and just kind of, decompress? I'm like, sure, get your work done for me and then turn it in and then I'll write you a pass. I mean, those kids need a safe place. And I think that not only did it give them something that they needed to support them, but it gave them a safe space as well.
Oh, so that's like extracurriculars and stuff that they do after school, right? It's basically
No, it was like during class period, like if a student needed supplies, like it's saying, Mr. O, I don't have any pencils for the day, or I don't have some paper. If I didn't have it, they would ask to go to CIS, and I'd say, sure. I'd say, come straight back. They'd come back with their supplies, and then sometimes they would go back for snacks later.
So who was paying CIS? Can you explain a little bit?
I'm not completely sure on it. Of course, I think part of our budget did. But then I don't know if we got any money from the state or from organizations or anything like that to fund it. But I know our school district did support some of that, or most of it.
Hopefully,
So.
if you get in there, you can actually maybe try to bring that back, because it's a lot of different things. We have, like you said, there's different types of families here in Cove that might need that.
Right.
That their lunch might be the only lunch, that might be the only food, and maybe that extra, that CIS is the only, right? The only place where they have some, what they need. And
yes,
so again, I imagine that's connected to the CCISD, because it seems like the more I'm starting to hear about COVID, everything is like separated, right? So CCISD plus the education department and the state, right?
Right. Okay. Well, I'm thinking too, with CIS, to finish talking about it, our school district could have done something different where they reached out to big corporations, businesses, grants, something to keep it going. Yes, ma'am. And, there was no reason. I don't think it was a good way to save money. That is something that supported our kids.
Yes, definitely. So, are we spending enough classroom time on the basics, reading, writing, math, science, and history?
I believe so. Usually when it gets closer, though, to testing time, we spend a lot of time doing test prep for STAR. And, my thing is, I did it when I was there working, put my head down, closed my door, taught my kids, did the best I could. I think we spent too much time, I think, on test prep. I think it's something that maybe should be done in a different way or cut back the time. I tried to calculate it to figure out like 1 year how long or how much time we spent on test preps and where we did these star push days. I would say plus the testing days, at least almost 2 weeks of instruction time was lost because of the star test preps. Maybe more because I know if kids don't pass that test, they do have to lose another instructional day to do a retake and try to pass the star test. And once they've had
Yeah, I'm
remediation.
glad that you mentioned that because again, when I did research and decided to homeschool, which was not easy, by the way, and I homeschooled for 13 years, and I took my
Right.
kids out of first and third grade. Um, According to the research that I did, it's like when you graduate from high school, from a public school, your knowledge is
Mhm.
ninth grade education only. Why? Because it's so much different things, like the focus
Mhm.
on testing.
Right.
How much does that accumulate throughout all, kindergarten to 12th grade? Think about that.
Right. Yeah, if we have only 187 days with the kids and we're losing 7 to 14 days of test prep and testing days, I mean that's a lot of time. That's a third of a grading period. And I think it needs to be limited. And if we're teaching and doing our jobs in the classroom, teaching them the skills they need, then we don't need test prep other than maybe teaching test taking tips. You know, so
Exactly. So the lady said communities in schools is funded through a mix of public government
that's
appropriations,
what it is.
major philanthropic organizations, corporate partnerships, and local donations. So it shouldn't be able. We should be able to then keep
Yeah.
it, right? If this is how
That's
it's
it.
it's it's,
The
it's,
school
it's
district should have
funded.
reached out to somebody, to keep it. Yeah.
Is it too late to do something? I mean, if you get in there,
I don't know.
can we
I'm
resuscitate
thinking,
it? Can we resuscitate the zombie? You know?
yeah. I don't know if it's too late. I mean, it's never too late. I mean, if you got a school board that's willing to do something, it can be done. If the money's there, if the time is there, and we have the people and the resources, it can be done. Yeah, I just feel like they gave up too quick on this.
Exactly. And the kids already, like, anyway, let's move to another one.
Yes, ma'am.
We can keep talking about that. So now,
Right.
when you hear it's only a few dollars more for the average taxpayer, does that argument work on you?
It depends on what the tax dollars are going to. Um, to me, it's like if anything is going to benefit our kids, their not just their education, but their well-being, if it's something that we can manage, then it should be done. I know we should be fiscally responsible. We should be careful where we spend our money, what programs we use it on to make sure those programs are actually benefiting our kids and it's not just some educational fad. Over 29 years of teaching, I've seen educational fads come and go. And then some come back that look similar to something we used before that we got rid of. It's very irritating as a teacher because it's like, well, this thing worked. It helped our kids. Why are we getting rid of it? We sunsetted a program one time that was really good for our kids for reading, writing, phonics, teaching the little ones to read and get into there. But we got rid of it. But then later we adopted something similar, but it was very watered down. So
So what would make you vote against the CCISD budget?
like I said at the beginning, to me, to put kids first, you have to support your teachers and your paraprofessionals and everybody in between. If you don't do that, you're not putting kids first. It's a catchphrase I think people use too much. That it's kind of like if you were in a corporation, and I'm not a business owner, I've never been a business owner, but if a department in a corporation goes to their upper management and says, "Hey, we got this issue. We need people, or we need resources, or we need time. What can you do for us?" They're not going to turn them away or gaslight them into saying, "Well, it's not an issue, deal with it." It's like, that's not how you run a corporation. That shouldn't be how you run a school either. If a teacher comes to you with a legitimate concern with the issues with resources, management, time, you need to do your best as a leader, I think, to help them. I mean, that's how we make our school successful. That's how we support our kids. That's how we put them first.
Exactly. And that's what we need, leaders that care, leaders
Right.
that have a background in whatever they're, running for, like you,
Mhm.
to help the kids in the board. Now, the lady had to leave because she had to something. But anyway, she said, state appropriations, state legislators allocate direct line item funding to local CIS affiliates to support regional education goals. Local school districts, school boards frequently co-fund CIS.
Right. Mhm. Okay, that's good.
That's
Well,
the
thank you
way
very
I
much
am.
for that information. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that lady knows. I don't know. Like I said, my kids are so old that it's like I'm completely and I homeschool. So okay, so if you discover a program was popular but wasn't producing measurable results, would you cut it?
If it's not, a program, any type of program, you need to give it at least 2 to 3 years to see if it's working, to have some data to collect. And I think from there, it needs to be evaluated. All programs should be evaluated that way. At third year mark, it should be in meetings like, okay, how is this doing? Is this helping our kids, or is it just staying the same, or is it getting worse? So I think doing that reevaluation, almost like an audit of all our programs to make sure that they are benefiting our kids. Definitely, yes, it should be cut if it's not benefiting the kids or if there's not showing any progress.
Okay, that's great. I love that.
Mm.
Where do you think school districts generally waste money?
Um, I haven't, like I said, don't have access yet, or I haven't gotten access to a lot of things where money's being
No,
spent.
but I mean, from as
Um,
you know, you are a
oh,
teacher, and you've been
right,
seeing,
right.
you know where this
Um,
was. Anyway.
I would say upper management. I think we spend a lot of money hiring people that we're spending, $250,000 to keep somebody here when we could probably got somebody just as good. I have to say this though, that I know some of the public and a lot of staff are really upset that the superintendent got an increase in their pay. And yet they
Yeah, it's
told
a
the
lot of
school
money.
district, a
It's a
lot of them
lot of
were
money.
told, hey, they don't have money to give teachers a pay raise, but let's give, our superintendent a
Exactly. A lot
$34,000
of us are
raise.
angry about that, and although I am
Yeah,
not, my kids are adults.
right,
I'm a taxpayer, so I was like,
right.
why do we need to pay so much for, I mean, how many kids do we have in our district? We have supposedly like less than 50,000 people in the city, so
Yeah.
I imagine
Hmm.
that maybe 20,000 kids.
Right. And I think over the years, I mean, being as a teacher, I can only tell you my point of view as a teacher and working all these years in the school district. We've had to do with a lot less, but every time we looked up above us, they didn't have to do with a lot less. They got more
Hmm.
support, they got more money, they got whatever it is, but it's like, but then you cut teachers or give them less time. How is that benefiting our kids?
Exactly.
I know
If it
I
was
know we need
easier,
to,
if we were maybe we have more people, maybe
right.
500,000 people, then maybe we can actually accommodate
And have the money to,
the
yes.
specific
Hmm.
salary. But we're less than 50,000 people. A lot of the times
Hmm.
it fluctuates because we're a military town,
Right.
and so yeah, no, I'm really like seriously, I'm just so
Yeah.
happy that you're noticing things. So another question I have: should
Mhm.
taxpayers be able to easily see where district money goes without digging through hundreds of pages of documents?
One of the ideas that I had, and I'm glad you brought this up, one of the ideas I had is having the school district, if I get elected, I'm going to push for the school district to post a quarterly or at least a biannually audit of where all the money's going. So that way, the public, average Joe doesn't have to go through the school district and fill out a paper saying, I would like the freedom of information, blah, blah, blah. But I think it should be posted to help make that connection to the community and saying, hey, this is where our money's going. This is what we're doing. I mean a specific line by line audit of this is what we're spending.
Yes,
Look at this is what we're doing. I
yes,
think
we need
that
that.
would I think that would quench a lot of distrust in the community for the school district, just
Mhm.
to push it out there and say, here's what we got, here's what we're doing, here's what we're spending our money on. And
Yes.
then the public can decide, okay, cool, let's keep going that way. Or no, but I don't think a lot of people knew that you could contact the school board members, because I didn't know for sure when I started researching, when I first put my application in, I was like, oh, their email addresses are listed all through CCISD's website. So just like your representatives in state and national, contact your school board members. Bring up your concerns, bring up specific, items that you're concerned about or questions, and push it out there. And then, of course, if people don't meet your needs as a community, then vote them out. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah. This is one thing that I'm seeing across the city, and it didn't. I like I said, 25 years. It didn't used to be like
Mhm.
that before. Is that for whatever I need to find about, it doesn't matter what is the department being, whatever. I have to do an open request for
Right.
information. That
Mhm.
that is, I think that's why a lot of us don't feel represented. We feel like we're invisible and nobody cares. And so it's like we're here. And so again, I really hope that if you get in there, you can do that, because there's no trust without, there needs to be accountability. And every penny that you guys have, anybody of any area in the city, comes from us. This is how somebody was commenting something about the city park. I said, that's our city park. We pay for that. The football field, whatever it is. So it is actually behooves to the departments or whatever that be in CCISD to actually be sure that they have that, right?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
But I like your plan. I like your plan a lot.
Well, like I said, I think it'll help bridge the gap so that there's not this distrust, or, just in good faith, the school district should be posting stuff and saying, here's a line item thing of our audit or what we're doing this quarter or this year or this semester or whatever. But it needs to be put out there so, we don't have to sit there and struggle through the red tape to try to get information from the school district. And I think that would make the school district look better.
I'm going to ask a little question here.
Okay.
Because I seen this when my kids were in school, and I see this every year.
Okay.
If we send our kids to school, why a lot of the times kids have to become salespeople? Because, you need to go and sell this for this and sell this for that. Can you explain that to me? Because
are you talking about the fundraisers?
Any kind, not the high school, but again, more. Oh, I'm selling chocolate, or I'm selling this, or you buy this pretzel, so whatever it is that is not usually for high school or whatever. Explain that to me. Do we send kids to be salespeople? Because I'm trying to understand, and it will make me angry. Oh, now you need to do this, and if you sell more, then you get this, and blah blah blah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, as a teacher, if I didn't bring my lunch one day and a kid was selling stuff, I would help them out if I had the cash on me. I used to buy snacks for some of my kids who were like, Mr. O, I got to sell this for my group or my organization or my team. And I'm like, okay, I didn't bring my lunch. Here's $1. Here's a $2 thing. But I mean, I don't know if you're asking me, or should we be doing it? Is that what you're asking me? Or
so when my kids had to sell anything from the school because they said it's fall and they need to do this.
Yeah.
Again, as parents, we have a lot, but I didn't send my kid to sell stuff. That's the point that I'm trying to say. Now you want to help the kids if they don't have something, but I guess you guys don't get paid enough, which is messed up. But I'm specifically on how kids are used to sell, which I'm sorry, I don't think that should be happening. Or so that's what I'm trying to say. Comment on that. And the other question was, because this happened last year, was it? There was a lot of kids at the time of school going to ICE protests. That was the second question that I had. So go with the
as far as the fundraisers, I mean, I know they try to motivate the kids and push them to do these fundraisers to help support whatever group or organization. Usually it's to take a trip somewhere, like if it's band or choir. And I know that's like the only money they have access to. Once again, it goes back to our school district, where's the money going? Why do we not help out these kids? If, we spend lots of money on traveling for sports and athletics. What about theater arts? What about, art? Yeah. Exactly. And so it's like, okay, I know to a point, it's like, it gets to be pricey with these buses, You have to pay the drivers. You got to pay them to feed them. You got to get gasoline for the vehicles. So like, if we're paying money for that, if we are, like I said, I don't completely know for sure.
We pay property taxes, and a lot of different things go to different departments, including the CCISD. So that's what I'm asking. If we're paying all this stuff, why did my kid have to sell my kid had to sell chocolates or whatever? And I'm talking about elementary kids. I'm not talking about the high school kids. I'm talking about little kids specifically. But anyway.
Go ahead.
The other thing about kids protesting ICE without parents knowing,
Okay.
And you comment on that because if something happens to a kid, who do you think is going to be sued? While there's school hours. If the
As
parent
far
didn't
as, I'm kind of the one that's like, I don't have a right to tell a parent what to do with their kid. Nobody does. If a parent wants to, withdraw their kid for the day to do whatever, that's up to them. It's going to count as, I guess, depending on if it's an appointment or not. But if it's not, it's going to be an unexcused absence. So, I mean, that's the consequence for that. I don't know, as far as legal consequences. I mean, as long as your kid makes the number of days they're supposed to be in school a certain number of days, then you're allowed so many absences. So what people do outside on their own with their kids, that's on them.
Yeah, but I'm not talking
They're
about the parents really. Like there was kids that were protesting against ICE. The parents didn't even know.
Mhm.
That's
Oh,
what
the parents didn't know. Oh, okay.
while school hours is something.
Okay, I didn't hear that part.
While school
I mean,
hours, what do you think is going to happen to the?
I mean, that's truancy right there. I mean, it's truancy no matter what it is, what they're going or leaving school for, period. I mean, you have to be in school. It's a legal thing, unless you're homeschooled. But, no matter what you leave school for, if you leave without your parents' permission or an adult taking you out, yeah, that should be truancy. So.
And a lot of the teachers work with them.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. I hadn't seen that report, but I know somebody was telling me about it the other day. So.
Because I would have been furious if my kid was protesting and I didn't even know, and something happens, right? So I think
safety.
There's the truancy part of it, but then there's also if the kid gets hurt, the parent didn't know, who's going to suffer the consequence? It's going to be the ISD, whatever.
And as a professional, I mean, every year we're responsible for those kids' safety. Now we're basically like a surrogate parent, and my responsibility is not only to teach them, but make sure that they're safe. So.
Exactly.
Oh, hold on just a second. My earpiece is telling me it's low on power. I'm going to switch over to my phone real quick.
No problem.
And there we go.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Okay. So let's do like rapid, like let's try to keep this one so I can actually go through some other. So where does the parent's authority end and the school authority begin? Oh, I can't hear you. Now I can't hear you at all.
Let me see. Can you hear me now?
You're cutting off.
It might be my internet. I apologize for that. Are you able to?
Okay, now you sound more. You sound better. But did you get my question?
Okay, so where does the authority end with the parent and start with the teacher?
Yes. What does the parent authority end and the school authority begin?
I think when you say authority, if you're talking about once the parents relinquish the student to me in my care, that's my authority. Whatever my responsibilities are, I am in charge of that. I have to take care of that, whether it's teaching the child, making sure they're safe. As far as parents' authority, I mean, outside of school, there's not a lot we can do sometimes, unless we know or have an idea that maybe a child's being neglected or abused, then we are, by law, supposed to report it. But I mean, as far as authority, I'm not sure specifically if that answers the question, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's the answer. You said something before that answered the question.
Okay.
So should parents have access to everything their child is being taught?
Yes.
If a parent objects to a book or instructional material, what should the process be?
If they object to it, I think there should be a secondary book of some kind to give to the student. Okay.
How should CCISD handle political or ideological issues entering the classroom?
I mean, that covers a broad range of things and spectrums. I mean, it should be a place where I remember growing up when I was in high school, we had sometimes political debates, and it was laid out for us, but this was in high school, to research the evidence, bring your evidence to the discussion and back up your point of view, your topic on this is my evidence of what I found, and then have the debate. I think in the last, 30 or so years, I feel like we've lost the capacity to sit and have a civil discussion and debate with each other as a society, I think. And I think that needs to be reintroduced in a way back into schools, at least maybe in high school, because anybody can have an opinion, but getting to the point where we listen to each other, I think that's something we need to do. I think political discourse is important. I think it's important to our nation. I think having a civil discourse with each other is important as well.
Totally. Tell me one position you have that might actually cost you votes.
I would say it would have to be the Ten Commandment thing that happened in Texas. And to be honest with who I am, my personal religious beliefs are my own. And I would never want to push those off on anybody because it's my own journey with my own God. And I think everybody has their own journey, but I don't think it's right or fair to make a student that's of a different faith or not of a faith to feel like they're not included because their faith isn't represented. It's public school was meant to be public, secular. Private schools, like I went to, I learned about my catechism. That's where I grew my faith at the time. I had good mentors, I had good leaders, people that taught me, not just academics, but the spiritual life. And I feel like that is not the place of a public school teacher. And I don't think it's the place. And if you're going to do that, you need to represent all people of faith, because we have so many people. Being a military town, there's people of all kinds of faiths, and even within, our Christian faith, there's all kinds of different denominations, different interpretations. So I think
you wouldn't want the Ten Commandments that now, in another school district here in Texas, this year they were giving the Qurans. Would you be? They were like at the school time. Not talking about before or after. I'm talking about while school. Some organization went there to get Qurans. Can you comment on that? Because you said no Ten Commandments. So
of course. During instructional time, that's our time for, like, say if I was teaching English still. Our time is to go over our reading and writing skills and whatever we got to do. On your own time, and whether it's my own time or the kids' own time, they have all that free access to do whatever they want, to pray whenever they want. There's organizations that meet before and after school, but it's not the place for it. It's not where you should be learning, your basics, your reading, your writing, your math. And the spiritual part, I mean, especially like when they talked about not indoctrinating, but incorporating the certain Bible verses in curriculum. Okay, great. Who gets to choose that? Why do you get to choose it? Why can't it be somebody else? I don't think it's fair to do that, because you're asking teachers who probably aren't theologians, and some teachers that are of different faiths, to teach that. And wouldn't you want it to be an accurate teaching of that Bible verse or that Bible excerpt? I wouldn't want my child learning from that, because I would rather teach it myself at home, or our priest or pastor or whoever. Those are the people that need to be teaching those things, not public school teachers. That is not.
So basically, on that specific thing that I told you, lots of people were angry, because usually we cannot go and pass Bibles in the middle of school, but then there's other people that were passing Qurans in the middle of school. That's what I mean specifically. Since you commented against, basically no Ten Commandments, no Bible. Do you think that was right that they were doing that in another high school?
No,
in Texas?
If it's on their own free time, you do what you want.
I'm talking about school time.
Oh, no, not during school time.
That was school time.
Yeah, it shouldn't be during school time. No. That should be in clubs, organizations, before and after school. Whenever they're not in direct instruction, that's what they need to be focusing on, is their direct instruction. And then, I think there's a lot of misinformation too about, public schools don't allow this, they don't allow. There's all kinds of avenues for kids to practice their faith. There's groups and organizations that can participate in. There's, meet at the pole where they get to pray together. They have groups meeting after school, for whatever.
That's different. People would meet at the pole is you go there if you want to. If you don't want to, that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, let's switch a little bit. So let's do a rapid fire, because it's incredible how time passes by. So this is finish lighter and okay. Anyway, football or basketball?
Basketball.
Homework or no homework?
No homework.
School uniforms, yes or no?
Oh goodness. No.
More administrators or more teachers?
More teachers.
Raise taxes or cut spending?
Cut spending.
Books or tablets?
Books.
College or trades?
Both. I think they're both important because there's kids of
Totally
all.
agree. I agree with you. I was just like, hey, let me see what.
Yeah.
Closed session or public discussion?
Say it one more time.
Closed session or public discussion?
Depending on what the topic is, I know there's certain, if you're talking about the school board, I know there's certain things they have to have private discussions about. I would say it depends on the situation.
But if it's something that should be public?
It should be public then. Yes, definitely.
Superintendent or parents? Who does the board ultimately answers to?
Oh, definitely the community, parents and community.
One thing you change at CCISD tomorrow if you had the power?
Oh goodness, if I had the power. More support for teachers and paraprofessionals, to have support in the classrooms, to lessen their class sizes, to give them the resources and time they need.
Oh my gosh, that's great, man. So, James, thank you for sitting down with me and answering some questions. I hope that wasn't boring.
Oh,
and
no.
To everyone watching, yeah. Like I said, I tried to, spruce it up a little bit and have some fun because, again, at the end of the day, you are part of the community. You are part of our community, and the community is the main thing that we have.
Yep.
And so. To everyone watching, do your own homework, learn about the candidates, ask questions, and look at their records and positions, and mostly important, vote. Local elections may not get the attention that presidential or statewide elections receive, especially here at Cove, that we have a horrible voting turnout. But these are the people making decisions right here in our community, including decisions about our children's education and our tax dollars. So, stay informed, ask questions, and hold your local government accountable. And I'll see you in the next one. And thank you, Jay Ortiz. What would you say? What would you tell people that why should they vote for you? And we leave it there.
Why should they vote for me?
Yes, sir.
Because I would want to hold the school district accountable, deal with transparency, and put our kids first by supporting our teachers.
He already said it all, guys. So see you guys later.
Thank you. I appreciate you.